Introduction. In the early fall of 1903, something arrived in Van Meter, Iowa, that would fracture the line between reality and nightmare. It began with a strange, silent light. U.G. Griffith, a traveling salesman, was walking alone down Main Street just after midnight, his breath fogging in the cool autumn air, when he noticed it, a sharp beam moving across the rooftops. Not a lantern, not moonlight. This was electric, mechanical, wrong. It moved like it was searching. Griffith stopped. The beam froze on him. That's when he saw the creature. It stood on top of a 2-story building, silhouetted against the night sky, 8 feet tall at least. Its wings were vast, leathery like a bat's. But it wasn't the wings, or even the sheer size, that made his blood run cold. It was the source of the light. The beam wasn't held in its hands. It was coming from its head. From a blunt, featureless forehead, a single spotlight blazed, fixed directly on him like the unblinking gaze of a predator. Griffith ran. The next night it returned. Dr. Alcott, the town physician, was awoken by a tapping at his 2nd-story window. Annoyed and groggy, he shuffled to the glass and opened the curtain. His shotgun was never far, and he brought it with him out of habit. What he saw on the other side of the window changed his life. The creature hovered silently outside, the same beam of light scanning the room. Its wings were not flapping, but extended, motionless, as if it were levitating. The sulfuric stench hit him next, thick, choking, industrial. Dr. Alcott raised the shotgun and fired directly into its chest. Nothing. The creature didn't flinch. It didn't attack. It simply turned and vanished into the dark. By the 3rd night, the town had changed. Fear had ripened into full hysteria. Armed men patrolled the streets. Families huddled indoors. The sightings multiplied. School teachers, bankers, grocers, people who were trusted, sober, and practical, reported seeing the same thing. A winged monster with a beacon for a face. Some claimed it made no sound. Others swore they heard an unearthly hum, like machinery waking up from a century of sleep. It was around this time that the townsfolk traced the creature to the old abandoned coal mine on the edge of town. A group of men formed a posse. They gathered torches, rifles, pistols, whatever they could carry. They didn't know what they were facing, but they knew it was real, and they knew it wasn't afraid. When they reached the mine, they saw it again. Not just one this time. 2. The creatures emerged slowly from the dark shaft, glowing, flapping once to rise into the air. The men opened fire. Bullets tore through the night, echoing off stone and timber. Dozens of shots, maybe hundreds. When the smoke cleared, the creatures were gone. No blood, no bodies, just silence and that awful smell. The mine was sealed. The thing whatever it was, never came back. But the story never left. The Van Meter visitor, as it came to be known, is one of many such tales. Mysterious creatures that appear briefly are seen by multiple witnesses and then vanish forever. No definitive proof, no corpses, just shared terror and a legacy that won't die. We call these creatures cryptids. A cryptid is a creature that isn't recognized by science, but is widely reported through folklore, eyewitness accounts, and occasionally physical evidence. Bigfoot, the Mothman, the Jersey Devil, the Loch Ness Monster, Chupacabra, Skinwalkers, Thunderbirds. These names populate the darker corners of our cultural imagination. They come from the woods, the water, the skies. They appear in clusters. They follow patterns. And they almost always elude capture. Some say they are undiscovered animals, relics from a prehistoric time, holdouts in remote places. Others suggest misidentification, a bear, a large bird, a trick of light. Skeptics wave them off as hoaxes or as the products of mass hysteria. The mind is suggestible, they argue. People see what they expect to see. A scary story spreads, and soon everyone is pointing at shadows and calling them monsters. And yet, these explanations fall short. Misidentification doesn't explain glowing foreheads or creatures impervious to gunfire. Hoaxes don't explain the hundreds of eerily similar stories told by people with nothing to gain. And hysteria doesn't explain why so many of these encounters are eerily timed, linked to natural disasters, military activity, or moments of intense collective stress. There is a pattern to cryptids, and the pattern is unsettling. They appear when we are watching. What if monsters don't need to come from deep within the earth, or from undiscovered jungles, or from space? What if they come from something closer? What if monsters are not a phenomenon of nature, but of perception? We're so used to thinking of reality as a fixed thing that we rarely stop to consider what we're actually seeing when we see. Our brains interpret, our minds fill in blanks, our memories mutate even as we make them. And yet we trust the world in front of us to remain stable, continuous, external. But what if that trust is misplaced? What if reality itself is less solid than we've been led to believe? Maybe the cryptid isn't an animal. Maybe it's a response, a reaction, a shape that emerges in the fog of uncertainty and takes form not in spite of our attention, but because of it. What if the more people who believe, the more likely the thing is to appear? What if looking creates a window? What if fear makes something cross through? Because as it turns out, science has already encountered something like this, a phenomenon where possibility collapses into fact the moment it's observed. A mystery at the heart of physics, one that shouldn't exist, but does. And if you trace the story back far enough, past the footprints, past the blurry photographs, past the eyewitness panic, you'll end up not in a forest, but in a laboratory. It's called the double-slit experiment, And it's where this monster story really begins. This has been an excerpt from Quantum Cryptids by Sam Elliott. Check out Elliott's new book, Paranormal Imprints, for an in-depth look into how some ghosts leave a mark on reality. Paranormal Imprints by Sam Elliott is available now.